Hey, Matt again for another weekend video. This time it's going to be the top 70 albums of 1972. Still in the early 70s, very much so. Still in the classic rock era. As I was going over these albums this morning, and again, it took me like almost 2 hours to get all this stuff collected, I realized there's not that much difference in quality between 1972 and 1971. The albums remain remarkably consistent throughout. And there's even some really good albums I'm going to be putting in, from 60 to 70. So let's begin. These videos are usually 40 minutes or more. Okay, my top 10, I thought long and hard about, again, this is another one of those confusing things for me to what was my number one album. I'm going with Nuggets. Original artifacts from the first psychedelic era, 1965 to 1968. This is the ultimate primer for garage rock. It was put together by Lenny Kaye in 1972. This, of course, is from the big box set. It came out in the late 90s. Virtually every song here is a gem. Ironically, when Lenny put this together, he was just trying to get us to remember 60s 45s, which had been forgotten, according to him. So not every song on here is what we would consider garage rock today. Romeo and Juliet, Michael and the Messengers, Sugar and Spice, The Crying Shames, My World Fell Down, Sagittarius. But they're all good songs. And this is what started the trend towards, garage rock obsessives digging up old 60s vinyl or getting this stuff remastered on CD, which is the way I like it. So I gotta say, I've listened to this album in my life as much as I've listened to anything else. So I put it at my number one. It's a various artist compilation, so I hope you don't think it's cheating, but there you go. My favorite album by a band, which is my number two choice, is Exile on Main Street. Of course, what else? This currently is my favorite Stones album. I've gone round and round over the years as to what my favorite Stones album is. In the 60s, it's Let It Be. I've listened to Hot Rocks probably more in my life than anything else. But right now, it's Exile on Main Street. This is a classic. It's one of those albums, kind of like REM's Murmur, in that the individual songs don't stand out so much as there's an overall vibe and ambience to the whole flow of the LP, which is essential to appreciating it. This has a kind of a murky sound, it's not the most clearly produced album, but I'm happy with this remaster from some years ago. You don't want to sound too clean. It's the Rolling Stones, for Christ's sakes. All right, that's my number two choice. Number three, narrowly being beaten out by the Rolling Stones, is Ziggy Stardust. The rise and fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. Still my favorite Bowie album. First Bowie album I ever heard. It's perfect. Don't think I would really change anything. Big Bowie guy, big Bowie booster, and I got this album in multiple formats. This is just the CD from the box set, from 69 through 73, but I've got a AU20 version. I've got on CD, I've got a surround sound mix, so a classic, and as good for his career as Exile on Main Street is for the Rolling Stones career. All right, number, four? Todd Rundgren, Something Anything. If Exile is my favorite Stones album, Ziggy's my favorite Bowie album, this is my favorite Todd Rundgren album. This is the old Mobility version. The only version I've had since it came out. I don't need anything else. This is another almost perfect power pop album. There's maybe a couple of tracks on here that don't really make it for me. It is a double LP, so there's you're allowed to have some filler. But I think this is a Todd Rundgren that I would like there to be on every Todd Rundgren album, or Utopia, Anyways, 5-star classic, Something Anything. Third best double album of the year. Oh, by the way, that's going to be a theme today. There's a lot of double albums I'm going to be showing you guys. I think 72 was maybe one of the great ever years for double LPs. Okay, that was 4. 5, Harvest, Neil Young. I know it's somewhat fashionable to put this album down. Oh, it's corny. It's not with Crazy Horse. I played this album a million times in my life. On some days, I like it better than Ziggy Stardust. That's the eternal question with me in the 70s. Bowie versus Young. Right now, I'm going with Ziggy Stardust being a better album than Harvest, but, you know, get me in a Neil Young phase, I'll tell you. And this isn't even my favorite Neil Young album, after the Gold Rush is. But it's still another 5-star classic. I like every, if not love, every song. This is how we want to hear Neil when he's the, you know, acoustic troubadour. Same as after the Gold Rush, actually. All right? Okay. 6, Jethro Tull, Thick as a Brick. So by putting this as my favorite prog album of the year, I know that I'm really making a stand here, drawing a line in the sand, a line of demarcation, saying this is better than Close to the Edge. But today it is. You know, I love this record. This is as proggy as Ian Anderson ever got, and the next LP. Passion Play, but this is a better album than Passion Play. This is another 5-star album. This is prog for people who think that they don't like prog. In growing up in the 70s, listening to classic rock radio every day like I did, they played an excerpt of the Thick as a Brick song all the time on the radio. So I don't know if this was released as a 45 or somebody excerpted it, you know, down to a more reasonable length, but you heard it a lot. 7, Close to the Edge. This is considered by many, this is the Steve Hoffman version, yes, to be the greatest progressive rock album of all time. You know, I'm not going to argue with that. And on some days, I do like this better than Thick as a Brick. But yeah, this was the pinnacle of what Yes could do. You know, they still got Bill Bruford, and, you know, it's the classic lineup of, you know, John and Steve and Rick. Yeah, Chris Squire. Is it better than the Yes album and Fragile? Fragile is my favorite Yes album, but this is still a 5-star classic. And when you're getting into 5-star classics, picking one over the other is like splitting hairs, you know. It's like when you get to that level of excellence, your opinion could change from day to day. Okay, number 8 is Big Star, their first album. Yep, first record. This is a little 2 CD box set of all 3 of their albums. I've had it since the late 80s or early 90s. I probably could get a better sounding one, but it's done me just fine all those years. I'm a huge Big Star fan. This was the cover. It was a star. Anyways, I went to a show that Jody Stevens did at the Alex Theater here in LA some years ago, where he did the entire album, you know, the first album, and then many selected songs from the next 2 Big Star albums, and I just had a fabulous time. This is another classic power pop album. All right. 9, Rod Stewart, Never a Dull Moment. Some people think I rate this album too high. I don't quite like it as much as Every Picture Tells a Story from the previous year, but this is still damn good. You know, Angel, the hit, you know, the Hendrix song, You Wear It Well, Twisting the Night Away. He always did like Sam Cooke. I'd Rather Go Blind, you know, the Etta James number. This is another, to me, this is a 5-star record again. He had not gone downhill yet in 1972. All right, rounding out the top 10. The harder they come. Jimmy Cliff. This was the first reggae album that, you know, a lot of people owned in the 70s. This was, of course, the soundtrack to the classic film. I had the DVD I was going to show you guys, but then I found the CD, which I couldn't find earlier. So this is a double disc version. So the first disc being the original album, and then the second disc is just other reggae songs from that era, 68 to 72. But you know, you got prime Jimmy Cliff on here. You get Toots and the Maytals, the Slickers, Desmond Decker, Melodians, Scotty, It's a 5-star album again. There's not a bad track on here. And this is another Various Artists comp, just like the Nuggets album. So my top 10 is bookended by Various Artists comps. All right? The harder they come, the harder they fall. 1-0. That's Matt's top 10. 11 through 20. These are albums that narrowly missed the top 10, which is to say on another given day, any of these CDs or albums could have made my top 10. They just didn't today when I made this list. Genesis, Foxtrot. I told you how Nursery Crime was better than Trespass, and Trespass was better than From Genesis to Revelation on my 1971 show. Foxtrot is better than Nursery Crime. This is epic Genesis. This is when they're hitting their stride. This is when they're as good as any prog band. All right? But Matt, you rated Jethro Tull, and yes, higher than Genesis. Yeah, and I'm not gonna back down. You know, we have to rank these albums, despite how difficult it is. But you know, Watcher of the Skies, love that Mellotron. Well, the whole thing. Timetable came out by Friday. Can Utility, Horizons, and then the awesome Supper's Ready. Genesis, Foxtrot. Okay, number 12. You might think this is somewhat of a cheat, but I don't care. Now, this is also the great era for compilations, the early 70s. I'm going to tell you why I'm choosing Jethro Tull's Living in the Past. This is the old Low Fidelity version. They just did a surround sound version with lots of extra tracks, which is outstanding. But this will do it for me. When this came out, it came out in 72, same year as Thick as a Brick. Nothing from Thick as a Brick on here. Very little from Aqualung on here. Most of the songs on here were not previously available on an LP. They were 45s. There's a whole 1971 EP on here. But this functions, to me anyway, as an album. It's a double album. It's a great introduction to Jethro Tull, much like Hot Rocks was to the Stones. But remember, Hot Rocks was all previously released material. The next year, we'd have the Beatles' Red and Blue, Red and Blue albums. They contained no previously unreleased material. This has stuff that you could not get on LP, and it had live stuff. The live stuff was marginal, but they probably should have taken those 2 tracks out and left room for for other Tull songs. But 5-star classic. All right. Okay, that was 11, 12, 13. Steely Dan, Can't Buy a Thrill. The first album by Steely Dan. All their albums through 1980 were great or excellent. This is no exception. They played this stuff on the radio. It's got Dirty Work on here, which was the only Steely Dan hit not sung by God, why can't I think of his name? Beckard Fagan, Jesus. Alzheimer's again, folks. Can't Buy a Thrill. 13, 14. Talking Book, the first classic Stevie Wonder album. This same year he did Music of My Mind. That's a really good album too. But this is a 5-star album. So that therein lies the difference. Jeff Beck is on here. Did my Stevie Wonder show, covering all of his albums in the 70s and early 80s. Check it out. Classic rock fans, you should know this. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 15. St. Dominic's Preview. Van Morrison was cranking out so many great albums in the early 70s. I left out Tupelo Honey, but I should have included that too. But this is better than Tupelo Honey. This has got long songs that work, you know. It's got Jackie Wilson that said, I'm in heaven when you smile. Gypsy is great. I Will Be There, Listen to Lion. I love the title track. And then there's the epic Almost Independence Day. All right. All right, this is 16. Deep Purple, Machine Head. Here's my DVD, my surround sound. This is their ultimate statement, folks. I'm going to include their Made in Japan album on this list too, because that's their ultimate live album. The year of no Led Zeppelin. Deep Purple just fills, nature abhors a volume, right? I mean, a void, not a volume. So Deep Purple steps in when Led Zeppelin steps out. Machine Head, every song killer, one of the great hard rock or even metal albums, if that's which one I consider it, of the 70s. Okay, 17. Just did a show on my boy Randy Newman. This is Sail Away. This is not his first classic album because, 12 songs is a classic too, but this is as good as singer-songwriter albums got in the 70s. Okay, closely followed by Jackson Browne, or some people call it Saturate Before Using. This is his debut album. I love every song on here. I did my Jackson Browne show along with my Tim Buckley show. You're going to see Tim Buckley later on in this show. But I like this album, Jackson Browne, better than I liked Tim Buckley's album this year. So this is another classic singer-songwriter album. And here's another one. We're on 19 now. Joni Mitchell, For the Roses. Shortly after this, she'd have an affair with Jackson Browne. For the Roses, not as immediate as Blue, but it's another classic Joni Mitchell album. And at this time, she was doing nothing but classics. For the Roses is my 19th choice. My 20th choice, Black Sabbath Volume 4. There was a time this was my second favorite, or maybe third favorite Black Sabbath album, because I love those two from 1970. I do like this better than Masters of Reality, but that's a classic too. So again, you're splitting hairs when you're trying to differentiate between 5-star albums. Volume 4. It's got Supernaut on it. Frank Zappa's favorite Black Sabbath song. One of my favorite Black Sabbath songs. Okay, that is my 1 through 20. All right, 21 through 30. Moving right along. 21 is Stephen Stills' Manassas. It's a double album, again, folks. This is when Stephen could still do it. He could still get it up. He could still put it out there. He wrote or co-wrote every song on here, I think, or virtually. He would start to run out of steam, though, after this. But at this point in time, he had never been part of a bad album. In fact, they were mostly damn good. I didn't include Stephen Stills 2, or did I, in my 71? But that's not a bad album. This is better, though. Manassas. He formed a band, got tired of waiting around for Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young to regroup. This made it for me. All right. That's 21. 22 is Lou Reed's Transformer. This is the most famous Lou Reed album. I don't know if it's the best, but if this might be the one I would give to a newbie who was wanting to know what all the fuss was about with Lou Reed's solo career. I would give a newbie a Velvet Underground album first. But if he just said, okay, I got the Velvet's albums now, turn me on to Lou Reed's solo, I might give him this first, Might give him Berlin, might give him New York, might give him Rock and Roll Animal. I mean, there's a lot of really good Lou Reed albums. Bowie produced this. And, it's got Walk on the Wild Side, Vicious, Satellite of Love, Perfect Day. It is a great Lou Reed record. 21, 22, 23 is Can, Eggy Bamyasi. Egg. This was the first Can album I ever heard, and in many ways, it's still my favorite. I know a lot of people prefer Tego Mago or Tago Mago or however you say it, and I did include that in my 71 show. I might like this a tad better, or at the very least, this LP is as good as the first LP on the Tago Mago album. So there you go. Love it, love it, love it. 24, Elton John, Honky Chateau. Another solid, Elton album from he could do no wrong in the first half of the 70s. Even on those rare occasions when he would essay an album which wasn't that great, he would do another album that year and it was better. So every year, there was a good Elton John album. And this is a good one. Honky Cat, Think I'm Gonna Kill Myself, Rocket Man, Mona Lisa's and Mad Hatter's, Hercules. I mean, yeah. This is more consistent, I think, than Madman Across the Water. All right. 25, Paul Simon. Another great singer-songwriter album. I Know People. This is from the little Paul Simon box set where you get all of his albums in the 20th century remastered, or does it go into the 21st century? Anyways, I know people that like this more than Simon and Garfunkel records. I don't, but I think it's a great record. I think it's, you know, one of the, I mean, look, it made my top 30 for 72. All right. I mean, did he really need Art Garfunkel? Probably not. But I like those sweet harmonies that, you know, that Paul was coming up with when he was working with Art. Okay. This is 26. Gentle Giant, Octopus. I'm going to have 3 friends later on, too. Those are 2 great Gentle Giant albums in 72. This is a great prog album. It's accessible for them, but it's also, you know, Gentle Giant were not the easiest prog band to listen to. This was the first album of theirs I ever heard, owned. I don't know if I have a favorite Gentle Giant album. They don't have a total 5-star album to me. This is probably as close as they get, but they have other albums as good as this. So there you go with that, you know, wonderful Roger Dean cover, you know, who did Yes. All right. '27 is The Band, Rock of Ages. Another record you might be thinking, Matt, you rate that kind of highly. I'm a huge band buff. I did not put Cahoots in my 1971 video because though I like the album, I can't promote it as one of the best albums of '71. But this is my first live album. Yeah, okay. So this is my first live album of '72. So this is my favorite live album of '72. There will be other ones. All right. This is a double disc. The whole second CD is previously unreleased bonus tracks. It's the way to go. It's the way to go with that one. All right, 28. This is another one of those Russian bootleg twofers of Jimi Hendrix, his 70s releases that I showed you one on the last show. I'm showing you now In the West. Loose Ends is not bad, but In the West is a live album. It's great. He does Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. He does a great version of Little Wing on here. He does one of the all-time versions of Johnny B. Good, I think. He does Blue Suede Shoes. He does a great version of Red House, Voodoo Child. I mean, this is awesome Hendrix. Of course, he had already passed away by then, but I am on record, and will tell you, I like the 70s posthumous Jimi Hendrix albums. Even Loose Ends is not bad. All right. Okay, 29 is Son of Schmelson. Did my Harry Nilsson video last weekend. This is a kind of like a sequel to Nilsson Schmelson, and it's great. I think this is another classic Harry record. All right, number 30 is Caravan, Waterloo Lily. I love this record. Not as good as my favorite one of theirs, which is In the Land of the Gray and Pink. And probably Waterloo Lily was a prostitute. I guess that's her. Not probably as good as the next year's For Girls Who Go Pump in the Night, but this is still great, and it's underrated. People don't talk about this being a great Caravan record, but it is. All right. All right, that was 21 through 30. '31 through 40. Got them in little stacks of 10 so that I don't lose my count. Okay, 31 is Grateful Dead, Europe '72. This is a litmus test for how much of a Dead fan you are. If you're a true head, you love this, and this is a classic. This was a triple live album, lots of extraneous jamming. If you don't like that aspect of the Dead, I wouldn't waste your time with this. But if you're interested in the Dead in a live setting and you've gone beyond live Dead, I would check. Well, I also really like the 1971 Skull and Roses album, but this is epic. This is almost the last of their Warner Brothers albums. They did one more live album in '73, which was recorded in 1970, called History of the Grateful Dead, Volume 1, Bear's Choice. But this is the last classic Warner Brothers Dead album, and I think the Warner's years were the best years for the Grateful Dead. All right, that's 31. 32 is Wishbone Ash Argus. I could not find my copy of this today, so I printed this up from Discogs. It's a great kind of progressive rock album from the early 70s. It's kind of proggy. I don't know a whole lot about Wishbone Ash, but I do love this album. And and this is one of those ones, if you've never heard it, don't even know about the band, go pick it up. Argus, this is what it looks like. All right, that's 32. I'm gonna do 33 and 34 at the same time. Zappa. All right, we got Waka Jawaka, we got the Grand Wazoo, both largely instrumental albums, released in 1972. He had dispensed with his second edition of the Mothers of Invention. These are just Frank Zappa albums. He would start his third version of the Mothers of Invention the next year with the Overnight Sensation album. These are, if you don't like Zappa's humor, get these two albums because they're mostly instrumental and they kick ass. Both great. Okay? Waka Jawaka, Grand Wazoo. That's 34. 35, Deep Purple. Made in Japan. This is the new surround sound box that just came out where they give you the three shows that were recorded for this album. They're all good. Made in Japan's a classic. It's probably the best live hard rock album in the 70s, but there is competition, as I was saying in some of the video. I love AC/DC's If You Want Blood. I love UFO, Strangers in the Night. I love Thin Lizzy's Alive and Dangerous. I mean, you know, there are, but this is better than Led Zeppelin's Song Remains the Same. Made in Japan, folks. Awesome, awesome record. 36, Caravanserai, Santana. We're still in classic Santana territory here. This is the first really fusion album that he made. It still sounds enough like his Latin rock stuff, though, to satisfy the people who love the first three albums. Caravanserai it's a monster, and it's probably the best of his next two albums would also be fusion. Welcome and Borboleta. This is better than those. Caravanserai. Pick it up. All right. I showed you this in my 1971 video. This is my Chris Christopherson 4 albums. They're all in quad. I'm showing you today, Jesus Was a Capricorn. He's sitting there with, you know, with Rita Coolidge. Border Lord also came out this year. People don't like that. I do. But Jesus Was a Capricorn is an even better album. All right? And since I'm not showing you too much country in these videos, guys, I am going to show you what I think that you should have. All right? This is a wonderful little disc by Vocalion, by the way. If you can pick it up, I think it's less than $50, but it's these 4 Christopherson albums in surround. It's great stuff, great stuff. Okay, 40, 39. This is 38. And I'm going to do 39 at the same time. 2 Al Green albums in 1972, just like the 2 Zappa albums. We got I'm Still in Love with You, and we got Let's Stay Together. Let's Stay Together, probably a tad bit better, but they're both awesome. Al Green was very consistent in the 70s. You see how I'm rating him this year higher than Marvin Gaye. I liked his Marvin Gaye's Trouble Man soundtrack this same year, but these albums are better. All right, and you know, while we're on the subject of R&B soul, I looked for my my Curtis Mayfield Superfly soundtrack. I couldn't find it. That would have made my list too. Matt, why didn't you burn it off? I mean, Xerox it off from Discogs? I forgot. But Superfly would have made my list. Okay, and here's my number 40. Nitty Gritty Band, Will the Circle Be Unbroken? Another double album. Or was this a triple album? I can't remember now. Actually, I never owned it on vinyl, so that's why I don't know. But on CD, it's 2 CDs. This is them with a bunch of country musicians performing traditional country music, and it's great. And that's why, you know, Will the Circle Be Unbroken, which is the old Carter family number, is the title here, because they're trying to keep the generation thing going with the older musicians and the hippie generation. But this is a great country album. All right. Okay, that is my 31 through 40. Okay. This is 41 through 50. 41 is Trilogy. This is a really solid record. I probably should have rated this higher, but I didn't think about it until right about now in my, when I was compiling this list. This is when Emerson, Lake and Palmer could still do no wrong. This is the old Mo Fidelity version. This is a very, easy on the ears, listener-friendly album. Doesn't have like the long track like Tarkus did. It isn't live like Pictures at an Exhibition. It's just a nice, solid ELP album. And it's got From the Beginning. Okay. 41 was 41. 42 is the first Blue Oyster Cult album. I love these early black and white cover LP cover BOC records. This is almost my favorite album of theirs. I know I'm in the minority on that. This one or Agents of, well, not Agents of Fortune, but Secret Treaties. So this is a Mo Fidelity version where it's got Blue Oyster Cult and it's got Tyranny and Mutation. So I'll be showing you this album when I do my 1973 video. Blue Oyster Cult. This one's got Cities on Flame with rock and roll. We're on 42. 43. People keep saying, Matt, when are you going to do your Beefheart video? Probably next week. This is Clear Spot. This is a great, see the original LP was clear, so that's where you can see the CD. Not as probably as lasting as Trout Mask Replica or Safe as Milk, but this would be a strong candidate for the next best. Well, it's hard to say what the best 70s Beefheart album would be, but this would be a good contender. Clear Spot. All right. Okay, that was from This is 43. 44. Dixie Chicken. Sailing Shoes. I'm looking right at the cover. It says the Dixie Chicken. I couldn't find my Mo Fidelity disc of this, so I had to print this out from the internet, which pissed me off because I wanted to show you guys. I like their first album from 71, but this is the first great one, Sailing Shoes. All right. You'll be seeing more Little Feat albums as I continue through the 70s. This is the first great one, though. 43, 44, 45. T-Rex, Slider. I think I had Slider when I was a kid before I had Electric Warrior. It's almost as good. I wish Mark Bolan would have continued to be competition for David Bowie beyond the early 70s, but he wasn't. I like Tanks, the album from 73, but it's nowhere near as good as Aladdin Sane, But it's probably better than Pinups. But the Slider is great, Since I'm probably not going to do a Mark Bolan show. Metal Guru is great. Rock On, The Slider, Baby Boomerang, Space Trick. I like all these songs. Buick McCain, Telegram Sam's one of his big hits. Rabbit Fight of Beatty Street, Oh well. Great. Okay. Lost my count, folks. That's going to be 50, 49, 48, 7. 46 is Roxy Music. When I did my Roxy Music show, I showed you guys the big box set of this. I don't feel like getting big box sets out. This is when they still had Brian Eno in the band. And they were very experimental, but still Brian Ferry's group, right? I love this stuff. You can call it glam, but there really was nothing else quite like Roxy Music at the time. 47. Some would say the last truly classic Miles Davis album, On the Corner. It's still, very much in the fusion, jazz fusion realm. This is from the Complete Columbia Albums box set. I got a whole box set just devoted to the sessions recording this album. So I love it. On the Corner. All right. 48 is Focus 3. More prog for you. I'm a Focus guy. I got a box set of their 70s albums, and they're consistent through the mid 70s. Was this a double album? I can't remember now. Oh, there's 9 tracks, so I doubt it. Oh, well, I don't, yeah, no, it was a double album. One of these tracks is 14 minutes long. One of them is 19 minutes long. This was a double album, I think. It'd be funny if it wasn't, right? Okay, Focus 3. Okay, this is a cool little album that I found that I don't usually think of. I'm going to say is my 49th choice. This is Mellow Candle, Swaddling Songs. It's kind of like, folky UK music, kind of progressive for the time. I like that cover, it's a Japanese CD. So if you're interested, never heard it before, remember what that looks like? Mellow Candle, Swaddling Songs. There's my 49th choice. Now, my 50th choice is Backstabbers. By the OJs. Now, I've got that CD. I even looked for a surround sound mix I have of that album. I couldn't find it. So I have this Get On Board the Soul Train box set. And that's what it looks like. It's a classic R&B soul album. I love that early 70s. That's the back of the cover. African-American kind of, paranoid, there's danger around the corner kind of songs like Backstabbers and Papa Was a Rolling Stone and, God, there's other ones too, but my brain is fried right now. But anyways, OJs. And that's probably my favorite OJs album. And I got a handful. Okay, so that was 50. That was 41 through 50. We're moving along here. We only got 20 more to go. Let me get that out the way. All right, 51 through 60. Alice Cooper, School's Out. This is the Steve Hoffman version. Boy, Alice could do no wrong in these years. This is a great album, just like his 1971 albums were, just like his 1973 album is going to be. School's Out is epic. You heard this track every time school got out when I was growing up. That's 51. 52 is Bob Weir's Ace. He's got most of the Dead, if not all the Dead, on this album. No, maybe Jerry. I don't know if Jerry's on here. Maybe he plays guitar on one track. This is a whole grip of really good Bob Weir songs, some of which became Grateful Dead staples. So if you're looking for a solo Dead album, I would start with Ace. I'm going to have Garcia later on this show, but I think this is better than Garcia. Okay, that's 52. 53. Fleetwood Mac's Bare Trees. I showed you guys Future Games in the 71 video and said that was a really good early 70s Mac album. So is Bare Trees. All right, this is from that, post-Peter Green, pre-Buckingham Nicks era that a lot of people have issues with and others think is their best era. This is a solid album. Bare Trees. That's 53. 54 is Neu. Neu is a krautrock band, German band. Yeah, I love that motoric sound that they have on some of these tracks where it's like you're just kind of very, very minimalist, where you're just kind of cruising, along like a freeway or something. Yeah, I love this stuff. I like this stuff. This album is almost as good as that Can album I showed you. All right. 4, 55. They only come out at night. The Edgar Winter Group. Here's my old Mo-Fi version. All right. Now I'm generally a Johnny Winters guy, but I'm going to make the exception here in 72 for Edgar Winter. Yeah, this is one with Free Ride and Frankenstein, the two biggest songs that Edgar Winter had in his career, I guess, probably. Both come from this album. Okay. We're on 56. Gentle Giant, Three Friends, told you it was going to be coming up. This is their other album from 72. I think it came out before Octopus. It's real good. It's underrated. This is one of the few albums that Steven Wilson has not put out in a surround sound mix, probably because he can't find the multis. But it's definitely worth checking out. Three Friends. You're not going to hear this stuff on the radio, but you didn't hear anything from Octopus on the radio either. But this is primo prog, folks. Okay, that's 55. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 56. 57. All the young dudes. Mata Hoople. I should have had Brain Capers in 71. I should have had their first album on too, earlier than that. But this is the first really good one, I think. You know, you got the Bowie connection, and they do that song better than I think David sang it. You know, there's an early VU cover on here, Sweet Jane. You know, Mitch Ryder did an early VU cover of Rock and Roll that was really good too with his band Detroit. But this is a solid record. Okay. This is 58, I guess. Garcia. This is the first Jerry Garcia solo album. This is the Rhino one from the Jerry Garcia box set. The first half of the album is classic Jerry Garcia songs, many of which would become dead staples. And the second half is experimental avant-garde music. So mostly people just skip that side, but the side one is primo Jerry. All right. Okay, 59 is Toulouse Street by the Doobie Brothers. I'm a Doobie Brothers fan. I mean, people think that that's somehow beneath serious rockers to like the Doobie, but no, I mean, I like me some classic rock. This stuff was all over the radio growing up. Why wouldn't I like it? And I got this album. This is the Quadio mix. I've got a Mobile Fidelity, version. So yeah, I like it. This is their second album. Their first album I've never even heard, called the Doobie Brothers. So my knowledge of the Doobies really starts here. And number 60 is Hawkwind. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Just did my Hawkwind video last weekend. This is a great album. More space rock. And that's what I like. I like these early space rock albums. All right. I think I said on my Hawkwind video, I like this one better than In Search of Space. They're both really good. Hard to say. See how fast one's opinion changes? Okay, that's it. We're down to our last 10. 42 minutes. We're doing well. All right, this is 61. Joe Walsh, Barnstorm. All right. This is a cool, just little, Turn to Stone was the hit, but the whole album's pretty good. This is an old Mobile Fidelity Silver Disc version. This is post James Gang. And yeah, this is just people who hear this album going, yeah, that's good, but you don't really hear a lot of people talking about it. All right? Well, that's 61. 62 is Who Came First. Here's the little box set. Pete Townsend, it's his solo album. Now, this is comprised of stuff. He had done he made 3 albums, I think, in the 70s. The first one, for sure, came out before this, where they were just kind of like, homages to his guru, Meher Baba. So this album, Who Came First, had some material that had been previously released, but this is a really solidly constructed record. I mean, everything on here is good. Like some of the Meher Baba albums have things on there that you're questioning why that was released. This is a solid record. This is probably the best album that Pete made in the 70s, although the one he made with Ronnie Lane is pretty good too. So Who Came First? If you're a Who fan, there was not a Who album in 72, check that one out. Okay, this is 63. Arthur Lee, Vindicator. This is the best Arthur Lee set of songs in the 70s. It's better than any Love album in the 70s. It's kind of a hard rockin' album. It should have been played on the radio. Arthur couldn't get arrested. He never had good luck with being accepted on the radio. But that's too bad. Vindicator's great. All right. That's 1, 2, 3. 64. Uriah Heep, The Magician's Birthday. They had another good album this year, but I chose to show you Magician's Birthday. I showed you a Uriah Heep album in the last video from 71. They were a solid kind of metallic prog band, if that's a way to describe them. All right. Magician's Birthday. I also mentioned Budgie last week. Did Didn't show you anything though. Squawk. Squawk's another song. Now these guys are another hard rock, slightly metal band from that time period, from across the pond. Squawk is really good. Check it out. It'll scratch your hard rock itch, even your early 70s metal itch, if you think that metal existed in those days besides Black Sabbath. Okay, 79, 8, 7, 6 is Graham Nash, David Crosby. Or actually it's David Crosby. No, it says Graham Nash, David Crosby. But then right here it says, you know. Anyway, this is their first of the 3 duo albums that they made. It is a strong, they're all good, but this is good. This even had a hit with Immigration Man, a top 40 hit in America. It's good. This is from a time when Crosby and Nash hadn't been a part of any mediocre album. All right. Are we on 70s? 9, 8, 6. 66 is the Tim Buckley album I promised you. Greetings from LA. This is the one where he thinks he's Marvin Gaye. These are sex songs, but they're not bad. It is unlike Tim Buckley, but maybe we just didn't know Tim Buckley that well because he wanted to make this album. He was told more or less after Star Sailor he had to take a more commercial approach, and this is what he decided to do. All right? So this is Tim Buckley. Greetings from LA. All right. I showed you a Commander Cody album last week. I'm showing you one again. This is Hot Licks, Cold Steel, Trucker's Favorites. This is cool stuff, folks. Again, I'm telling you, Commander Cody has not gotten his due on CD. I think this is remastered, though. Anyways, I don't know. But, yeah, it's cool stuff. It's like country rock, but it's fun, and it's he's got a sense of humor. And it's just more great Bay Area stuff. All right. Okay, down to our last two. 49. 69 is the Moody Blues, Seven Soldier, the last of their classic era albums. I didn't include A Question of Balance in my 1970 video. I didn't include, I forget the name for their 71 album, but this is better than both of those. Seven Sojourn. All right, did my Moody Blues video, which did pretty well, if you guys want to go check it out. All right, and my number 70, had to squeeze them in. The Kinks, Everybody's in Showbiz. This is not a great album, but I like it, it's good. It's another double album from the year of double albums. Half studio, half live. The studio stuff is good. The live stuff is pretty good. This same year, they released the awesome Kinks Chronicles, which is another great double album compilation, like Hot Rocks, you know, like Living in the Past, but it didn't contain anything new, so I wasn't gonna put it on here. All right, but Everybody's in Showbiz is my 70th favorite album of 1972. Okay, folks, that's Matt signing off. These albums are, these shows are hard to make, so we'll see you next week for 73.